Story 1. Once a grand hotel stood atop a hill, overlooking a quaint town nestled in the valley below. It was a place of opulence and luxury, where guests from far and wide would come to indulge in its lavish comforts. But as time passed, whispers began to spread through the town about the hotel's dark past and the sinister secrets that lay within its walls. Among the many rooms of the hotel, none were as infamous as Room 13. Guests would often request to stay far away from it, sensing an unsettling aura that seemed to emanate from within. Yet, despite the warnings and rumors, there were always those brave or foolish enough to book a night in Room 13. One stormy evening, a young couple named Emily and David found themselves stranded in the town after their car broke down. With no other options for shelter, they reluctantly made their way to the hotel atop the hill. Ignoring the warnings of the locals, they checked into Room 13, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. As the night wore on, strange occurrences began to unfold. The lights flickered ominously, casting eerie shadows across the room. Emily couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, and a chill ran down her spine whenever she glanced at the mirror, half expecting to see a spectral figure staring back at her. David tried to reassure her, dismissing her fears as mere paranoia brought on by the storm outside. But as the hours passed, he too began to feel a sense of unease creeping over him. It was as if the very air in the room had grown thick with malevolence, suffocating them with its presence. Just when they thought they couldn't bear it any longer, a faint whisper echoed through the room, sending shivers down their spines. They strained to make out the words, their hearts pounding in terror as they realized they were not alone. In the dim light of the flickering lamps, they saw it, a shadowy figure lurking in the corner of the room, its features obscured by darkness. Emily let out a scream as it advanced towards them, its movements jerky and unnatural. With trembling hands, David reached for the phone, desperate to call for help. But as he lifted the receiver, he realized with horror that the line was dead. They were trapped, at the mercy of whatever malevolent force haunted Room 13. As the figure drew closer, they could hear its raspy breaths, cold and lifeless. Emily clutched onto David, tears streaming down her face as they huddled together in terror. They prayed for morning to come, for the first rays of sunlight to banish the darkness that threatened to consume them. But dawn never came. The night stretched on endlessly, a never-ending nightmare from which they could not awaken. And as they cowered in fear, they knew that they were doomed to spend eternity trapped within the haunted confines of Room 13, forever tormented by the horrors that lurked within its walls. Story 2. In the heart of a remote countryside lay an abandoned inn, its weather-beaten facade bearing witness to decades of neglect. Once a bustling haven for weary travelers, it now stood as a silent sentinel, shrouded in mystery and decay. But within its crumbling walls lay secrets long forgotten, waiting to be unearthed by those brave enough to venture inside. One fateful evening, a group of friends embarked on a road trip through the countryside, their laughter filling the air as they wound their way along winding roads and mist-covered valleys. Among them was Sarah, a spirited young woman with a penchant for adventure, and her closest friends, Mark, Emily, and Jake. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, they stumbled upon the abandoned inn, its presence looming ominously in the fading light. Intrigued by the promise of adventure, they decided to explore its depths, unaware of the horrors that awaited them within. With flashlights in hand, they cautiously made their way through the inn's dilapidated corridors, the sound of their footsteps echoing eerily in the silence. Each room they entered held echoes of its former glory, now reduced to little more than decaying remnants of a bygone era. But as they ventured deeper into the inn, they began to sense a palpable sense of unease settling over them. The air grew thick with anticipation, and a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the stale, musty atmosphere. It was when they reached the heart of the inn, the grand lobby with its crumbling chandeliers and faded wallpaper, that they stumbled upon a discovery that would change their lives forever. Tucked away in a forgotten corner of the lobby was a dusty ledger, its pages yellowed with age and neglect. With trembling hands, Sarah flipped through the pages, her heart racing as she uncovered the dark history of the abandoned inn. Tales of tragedy and despair leapt from the pages, recounting the mysterious disappearances of guests who had checked into the inn never to be seen again. As they delved deeper into the ledger, they realized with horror that the last entry was dated decades ago, a chilling testament to the inn's grim past. But as they turned to leave, a sudden chill ran down Sarah's spine, and she felt a strange compulsion drawing her back to the ledger. With growing trepidation, she scanned the pages once more, her eyes widening in disbelief as she stumbled upon an entry that sent shivers down her spine. It was a list of names. Their names, alongside dates that had not yet come to pass. Terrified and bewildered, they realized too late the true nature of the abandoned inn. It was not simply a relic of the past but a malevolent force that fed on the souls of those who dared to trespass upon its domain. With a sense of dread closing in around them, they raced to escape the inn's clutches, their footsteps echoing through the empty corridors as they fled into the night. But as they emerged into the cool night air, they knew that they would forever be haunted by the dark secrets of the abandoned inn and the horrors that lurked within its walls. Story 3. In the heart of a bustling city, nestled amidst the towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, stood the Grand Imperial Hotel. With its gleaming facade and luxurious amenities, it was a beacon of opulence in a world consumed by chaos. But beneath its polished exterior lurked a darkness that few dared to acknowledge, a darkness that would soon consume those who dared to cross its threshold. It was a warm summer evening when Lily and Tom, a young couple on the verge of starting a new life together, arrived at the Grand Imperial Hotel. Eager to celebrate their recent engagement, they had booked a suite for the weekend, unaware of the horrors that awaited them within its walls. As they stepped into the lobby, the air was heavy with the scent of flowers and the murmur of guests mingling in hushed tones. The concierge greeted them with a smile, his eyes betraying a hint of unease as he handed them their room key. Ignoring the subtle warning signs, Lily and Tom made their way to their suite, their excitement building with each step. But as they entered the room, their joy turned to dismay at the sight that greeted them. The once luxurious suite was now a shadow of its former self, its walls stained with grime and its furniture shrouded in dust. A musty odor hung in the air, mingling with the faint scent of decay that seemed to permeate the room. Disheartened but determined to make the best of their stay, Lily and Tom unpacked their belongings and tried to make themselves comfortable. But as the night wore on, their sense of unease only grew, exacerbated by the incessant itching that seemed to plague them both. At first, they dismissed it as nothing more than a minor inconvenience, blaming it on the stifling heat and the unfamiliar surroundings. But as the hours passed and the itching intensified, they began to suspect that something far more sinister was at play. It was when they pulled back the covers to retire for the night that they made the horrifying discovery: the bed was teeming with bedbugs, their bloated bodies writhing in the dim light. With mounting horror, Lily and Tom realized that they were not alone in the room. Everywhere they looked, they saw the telltale signs of neglect and decay, from the stains on the walls to the rusted fixtures in the bathroom. But it was the bloodstains that adorned the carpet that filled them with the greatest sense of dread. They could almost hear the echoes of past guests, their anguished cries trapped within the confines of the room, forever condemned to relive their final moments in a never-ending cycle of torment. Frantic and desperate for escape, Lily and Tom made their way to the lobby, their pleas for help falling on deaf ears as the staff looked on with indifference. It was as if they were trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape, their every attempt at freedom thwarted by the malevolent force that held them captive. As dawn broke over the city, Lily and Tom fled the Grand Imperial Hotel, their minds haunted by the horrors they had witnessed within its walls. But as they left behind the suffocating embrace of the hotel, they knew that they would forever be haunted by the memories of their stay, a stay that had transformed from a dream into a nightmare of unimaginable proportions. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment and turn on notifications if you enjoyed the video so you never miss an upload.